The Nellurian delegation stepped through the airlock of Earth's International Space Station with practiced precision. Lysara Tvani kept her eyes forward, ignoring the sidelong glances from her fellow diplomats. After a lifetime of being different, she had perfected the art of appearing unaffected. "Ambassador Krell, welcome to humanity's orbital home," said Director Harmon, a tall woman with silver-streaked hair. "We're honored to host the first official Nellurian diplomatic contingent." Ambassador Krell, with his regulation blue-gray skin and black hair, nodded formally. "The honor is mutual. May this be the beginning of a fruitful alliance between our worlds." As the introductions continued, Lysara noticed a man standing slightly apart from the others. Unlike his colleagues, whose expressions barely concealed their scientific curiosity about the aliens, his gaze held something else when it met hers, a spark of genuine interest that made her heart beat faster. Director Harmon gestured toward him. "This is Nathan Reed, our chief xenobotanist. He'll be working with your science officer on potential agricultural exchanges." Lysara stepped forward. "That would be me. Science officer Lysara Tvani, specializing in comparative ecosystems." Nathan's eyes, a striking shade of green she'd never seen on her world, widened slightly as she approached. "It's a pleasure, Officer Tvani. I've been studying your preliminary data on Nellurian plant biology. Your work is extraordinary." The word seemed to carry more meaning than mere professional admiration. For the first time in her life, Lysara felt seen rather than merely observed. "I look forward to our collaboration, Mr. Reed," she replied, maintaining the formal tone expected of a Nellurian diplomat, though something inside her wanted to respond to the warmth in his voice. The delegation was shown to their quarters, and Lysara unpacked her minimal belongings, arranging her scientific instruments with methodical precision. The 6-month mission stretched before her, a chance to escape the stifling atmosphere of Nelluria, where her genetic aberration had limited her career advancement despite her brilliance. 3 days later, she found herself in the station's botanical lab, surrounded by Earth specimens Nathan had collected. He worked with a passion that reminded her of her own dedication to science, yet with an emotional openness Nellurians discouraged. "These orchids," he explained, gently touching a vibrant purple bloom, "evolved this color to attract specific pollinators. Beauty with purpose. On my world, purpose rarely aligns with beauty," Lysara said before she could stop herself. "Efficiency is our highest value." Nathan looked up, studying her with those penetrating green eyes. "And yet here you are, both efficient and beautiful." The compliment left her momentarily speechless. Nellurians didn't speak this way, especially not to someone with her coloration. "I've made you uncomfortable," he said quickly. "I apologize." "No," Lysara replied, her voice softer than usual. "You've made me curious. Humans are far more expressive than my people." "Is that a criticism or an observation?" A smile played at the corners of his mouth. "Perhaps a bit of envy," she admitted. "My people consider emotional display a weakness." As they worked side by side, cataloging similarities between Earth and Nellurian flora, Lysara felt something unfamiliar growing between them, a connection that transcended scientific inquiry. When their hands accidentally touched over a specimen, neither pulled away immediately. The contact sent an electric current through her body that no scientific principle could explain. That night, alone in her quarters, Lysara pressed her fingertips to her lips, wondering if the warmth she felt toward Nathan was the beginning of something forbidden, or the first true belonging she had ever known. The station's observation deck became their unofficial meeting place. After their official duties ended each day, Lysara would find Nathan there, gazing at Earth below or the stars beyond. Tonight, 2 months into the mission, they sat side by side, closer than protocol would allow if others were present. "Tell me about Nelluria," Nathan said, his voice soft in the dimly lit space. "Not the official description in our briefings, but your home, as you see it." Lysara considered her words carefully. "Nelluria is precise. Every aspect of life follows logical patterns established centuries ago. We prize harmony through uniformity. And where do you fit in this harmony? His question cut straight to the heart of her existence. She ran a hand through her white hair, a self-conscious gesture she rarely allowed herself. I don't. My genetic variation marks me as flawed. I've achieved my position through exceptional competence, but there are barriers I'll never overcome. Nathan turned toward her, the starlight reflecting in his eyes. On Earth, throughout our history, we've slowly learned that uniformity isn't harmony, it's stagnation. Our greatest advances came from those who saw things differently. He hesitated, then reached out, his fingers hovering near her cheek. May I? Lysara nodded, barely breathing as his fingertips gently traced the curve of her face, leaving trails of sensation on her purple skin. You're not flawed, Lysara. You're unique. And more beautiful than anything I've encountered on any world. The sincerity in his voice broke something inside her, a wall she had built around her heart since childhood. Before she could analyze her actions, she leaned forward and pressed her lips to his. The kiss was tentative at first, then deepened as Nathan pulled her closer. Lysara had read about human intimacy but had never imagined experiencing it herself. The sensation was overwhelming, a burst of connection that transcended the physical. When they parted, Lysara's analytical mind reasserted itself. This is unwise. Interspecies relationships aren't forbidden, but they're complicated. And temporary. I return to Naluria in 4 months. Nathan's hands entwined with hers. Then we have 4 months to discover if some connections are worth fighting for. Their relationship evolved in secret meetings and shared glances across crowded rooms. During the day, they were consummate professionals. At night, they explored the uncharted territory between their worlds. In Nathan's quarters, with the door locked and the soft hum of the station systems as background, they discovered each other's bodies with scientific curiosity transformed into passion. Lysara marveled at the warmth of his skin against her cooler purple flesh, the contrast of their bodies heightening every sensation. Your heart, Nathan whispered, his hand pressed against her chest, it beats differently than mine. Nalurians have a trichambered cardiac system, she explained, then laughed softly. I'm analyzing again. I love your analytical mind, he said, pressing kisses along her collarbone. And everything else about you. The word love hung in the air between them. On Naluria, such emotions were acknowledged as biological processes but rarely expressed. Here, with Nathan, Lysara was learning a new language, one of desire and tenderness. As they moved together in the station's artificial night, Lysara felt herself transformed. Each touch, each whispered word of affection, rewrote what she had believed about herself. For the first time, her difference wasn't something to overcome, it was something to celebrate. Afterward, lying in his arms, she traced patterns on his chest and considered the impossible odds that had brought them together, 2 beings from different solar systems, finding each other among the vastness of space. What happens when the mission ends? She finally asked, giving voice to the fear that shadowed their joy. Nathan pulled her closer. I don't know. But I'm not willing to let this end without exploring every possibility. For once, Lysara didn't need certainty. Tomorrow would bring its own challenges. Tonight, she was loved for exactly who she was. You've been distracted, Officer Tvani. Ambassador Krell's voice cut through Lysara's thoughts as she analyzed soil samples in the lab. Your latest reports lack your usual precision. Lysara straightened her posture, keeping her expression neutral as her training demanded. I apologize, Ambassador. I've been pursuing several complex research paths simultaneously. Krell's eyes, cold and assessing, studied her face. Your assignment here is critical to our agricultural development plans. Personal interests must remain secondary. Her heart raced with the certainty that he knew about Nathan, but Krell's next words took a different direction. The High Council is considering extending our mission by 6 months. Your expertise would be required, despite your genetic irregularities. Relief mingled with conflicted emotions. 6 more months with Nathan, but also 6 more months of hiding, of divided loyalties. I am honored by the Council's confidence, she replied formally. After Krell left, Lasara sat heavily in her chair, her mind calculating probabilities and scenarios. A longer mission meant delaying inevitable decisions, but it didn't solve the fundamental issue. Nellurians and humans lived in different worlds, with vastly different lifespans and social structures. That evening, she found Nathan in the hydroponics bay, tending to experimental Nellurian crops. The sight of him, sleeves rolled up, totally absorbed in nurturing plants from her world, made her chest ache with emotions she still struggled to name. "They're extending the mission," she said without preamble. Nathan looked up, his expression brightening. "That's wonderful news, isn't it? It's a reprieve, not a solution." Lasara moved closer, lowering her voice though they were alone. "Nathan, we need to discuss reality. My lifespan is nearly twice yours. My world views relationships as practical arrangements, not emotional bonds. And my reproductive biology is." "I know all that," he interrupted, taking her hands. "I've been researching. There are 13 documented human Nellurian couples since first contact. 3 have children through genetic assistance. They've built lives together." His thoroughness touched her deeply. Of course he would have investigated their chances with the same dedication he brought to his scientific work. "Those couples live primarily on Earth," she pointed out. "Nelluria is less accepting of differentiation." "Then we'll live on Earth," he said simply. "Or on a colony world. Or here on the station." "Lasara, I've never felt this way about anyone. I won't let astronomical distances dictate what we can be to each other." That night, their lovemaking had a desperate quality, as if they could somehow merge their futures through physical connection. Lasara memorized every sensation, the texture of Nathan's skin, the way his breathing changed when she touched certain places, the perfect security she felt in his embrace. In the artificial dawn that followed, they lay tangled together, discussing possibilities both practical and wild. Perhaps she could request a permanent Earth assignment. Perhaps Nathan could apply for an exchange position on Nelluria. Perhaps the growing interstellar community would offer places where both could pursue their careers without either sacrificing everything. "What if," Nathan said, tracing the curve of her spine, "we simply refuse to be separated? What if we made ourselves so valuable as a research team that neither side would want to break us apart?" Lasara smiled against his chest. "Applying scientific method to our relationship problems? Using every tool at our disposal," he corrected, kissing the top of her head. "Including the fact that our collaborative research has already yielded 3 significant breakthroughs in cross-planetary agriculture." Hope flickered within her, a dangerous emotion for an Nellurian, but one she was learning to embrace. Perhaps their connection wasn't just a beautiful aberration but something that could change both their worlds. As the station rotated into another cycle, Lasara allowed herself to imagine a future shaped by choice rather than circumstance. Whatever came next, Nathan had given her something invaluable, the knowledge that she was worthy of love, purple skin, white hair, and all. 4 months into the extended mission, disaster struck. A micrometeoroid breached the hull of the agricultural section, destroying months of research and critically injuring 2 crew members, 1 human, 1 Nellurian. In the chaotic aftermath, Lasara and Nathan worked side by side for 36 hours straight, salvaging specimens and stabilizing the environmental systems. Their professional synergy impressed even Ambassador Krell, who grudgingly acknowledged their complementary methods. Exhausted, they finally returned to Nathan's quarters, too tired even for intimacy but needing each other's presence. As Lasara drifted toward sleep, Nathan's voice pulled her back. "Marry me," he said, the words hanging in the darkness. Lasara blinked fully awake. "What?" "I had planned something more romantic," he admitted with a tired laugh. But nearly losing everything today made me realize we can't wait for perfect circumstances. He reached into a drawer beside his bed and pulled out a small object, a ring crafted from an alloy of earth silver and Nellurian metals, with a small purple stone that caught the dim light. "I've been working with engineering to make this," he explained. "The stone is from Nelluria, the setting is earth silver. Like us, two worlds coming together." Lysara's eyes filled with tears, a human response she had never experienced before meeting Nathan. "Our people have different bonding rituals. I've studied those too," he said earnestly. "I'm prepared to undertake the Nellurian life promise ceremony if your family requires it. I've even started learning your ancestral dialect." His dedication overwhelmed her. On Nelluria, matches were determined by genetic compatibility and social standing. Nathan would be considered an unsuitable candidate by every traditional metric, and yet, he understood her more completely than anyone on her home world ever had. "Yes," she whispered, the single word carrying the weight of worlds. "But there will be consequences. The council may revoke my citizenship. My family might renounce me." Nathan slipped the ring onto her finger, where it gleamed against her purple skin. "Then we'll create our own family. Our own traditions. Starting now." He kissed her with a tenderness that belied their exhaustion, and Lysara felt herself responding, fatigue forgotten as desire kindled between them. Their lovemaking that night was different, slower, deeper, invested with new meaning. Each touch was a promise, each kiss a vow. As they moved together, Lysara felt the barriers between their species dissolve, leaving only connection in its purest form. "I never knew it could be like this," she whispered afterward, cradled in his arms. On Nelluria, intimacy is discussed in terms of biological imperatives. Not this completeness. Nathan's fingers traced patterns on her skin. Humans spent centuries trying to separate the physical from the emotional, the spiritual from the scientific. We're still learning they're all aspects of the same whole. They announced their intention to marry the following day. The reactions were predictably mixed. Director Harmon offered cautious congratulations while initiating the necessary interspecies union protocols. Several crew members seemed genuinely happy for them. Ambassador Krell's response was ice-cold. "You dishonor your lineage with this impulsive action. The council will be informed immediately." The message from Nelluria came 3 days later. Lysara was recalled, effective immediately. Her position would be filled by another science officer. If she refused, her citizenship would be suspended pending review. "They can't do this," Nathan raged, pacing their quarters. "Your contract specifies the full mission duration. This is discrimination." Lysara sat quietly, the weight of decision heavy on her shoulders. "They can, and they have. I must either return to Nelluria or become stateless. Then we'll apply for Earth citizenship for you. Or colonial status. There are options, Lysara." She looked at the ring on her finger, at the man who had shown her that love could transcend the boundaries of worlds. Choice stretched before her like the vast expanse of space, terrifying in its infinity, but filled with possibilities. "I won't go back," she finally said, standing to face Nathan. "Not yet. Not until we've explored every option for our future together." He gathered her in his arms, his heartbeat strong against her chest. "Whatever comes next, we face it together." The message arrived on their first anniversary, as they prepared to leave the station for their new assignment on the Mars agricultural colony. Director Harmon delivered it personally to their shared quarters. "It's from the Nellurian High Council," she said, handing Lysara the data crystal. "They've requested a priority communication link for tomorrow." After the director left, Lysara held the crystal, its facets catching the light. A year had passed since she had chosen Nathan over Nelluria, a year of challenges and joy in equal measure. Her Earth citizenship had been granted based on her scientific contributions and her marriage to Nathan. They had built a life together in the spaces between worlds. "What do you think they want?" Nathan asked, his arm around her shoulders. I don't know, she admitted. Contact has been minimal since my citizenship change. The next day, they sat together before the communication screen. Ambassador Krell appeared, looking older than Lasara remembered. Science Officer Tvani, or Reed, as I understand you now call yourself, he began formally. The Council has reviewed your situation extensively. Lasara braced herself for further rejection, her hand tightening around Nathan's. Your research with Dr. Reed on hybrid agriculture has produced results that cannot be ignored, Krell continued. The test fields on Naluria are yielding 40% higher crops using your methods. In light of these contributions, the Council has reversed its decision. Your citizenship is reinstated, should you wish to reclaim it. Furthermore, both you and Dr. Reed are offered positions at the Central Science Academy. Stunned silence followed his words. Lasara found her voice first. Ambassador, does this mean the Council is accepting our union? A hint of discomfort crossed Krell's features. The Council acknowledges that traditional perspectives may require adjustment in an interstellar community. Your case has prompted significant debate about our integration policies. After the communication ended, Lasara and Nathan sat in silent contemplation. We don't have to decide immediately, Nathan said finally. Mars will still be there if we choose that path instead. Lasara touched his face, memorizing features that had become as familiar as her own. When I left Naluria, I thought I was choosing between my world and you. Now I realize we've created something different, a bridge between worlds. So, what do we choose? Nathan asked, turning to kiss her palm. Perhaps we don't have to choose one world over another, she said thoughtfully. Perhaps our purpose is to move between them, showing both sides what's possible when differences are celebrated rather than feared. 2 years later, Lasara stood in the garden of their home on Naluria, watching Nathan teach a group of young Nalurian scientists. Their house, built on the outskirts of the capital, where traditional rules were more loosely interpreted, had become an unofficial cultural exchange center. She rested her hand on her swollen belly, feeling the movement of their child, a genetic marvel made possible by the same scientific ingenuity that had helped two species learn to grow crops together. This child, with its unique blend of human and Nalurian DNA, represented everything they had fought for. Inside her, 2 hearts beat, her own trichambered Nalurian heart and the newer, smaller heart of her daughter, who would inherit characteristics from both worlds. The medical specialists were still determining which features would be dominant, but one thing was already clear from the imaging: the child had Lasara's vibrant purple skin. Nathan joined her in the garden, his arms encircling her from behind. What are you thinking about, love? About how no one had ever loved me for who I truly was, until a human proved everyone wrong, she said, leaning back against him. And how our daughter will grow up never doubting she belongs. She'll forge her own path, Nathan agreed. Just like her mother. As twilight descended on Naluria, painting the sky in shades of amber and gold, Lasara contemplated the journey that had brought her here. From outcast to ambassador, from solitude to family, she had discovered that love wasn't just an emotional response but a revolutionary force, one strong enough to bridge the vast distances between stars, between species, between hearts. In the end, what made her different had been not a flaw but a gift, the first step on a path that would change 2 worlds, one purple-skinned, white-haired child at a time.